Hey, what's up? How's it going? What's up? This is Jonathan Rancier. I'm just back on again. Felt like jumping back into my reviews. It's been a while since I've done them. Been watching a lot, listening to a lot, and just thought I would make an appearance and try to give another review about a classic film that I've been watching. And to start with the reviews, I like to start with an old classic, 1968, Bullitt, with Steve McQueen. Classic 1968 action car chase film, which I happen to like a lot. I happen to think it was really special. Started a genre for a lot of different actors and movies. It started a lot with this film. I found this at the mall. I love going to the mall, searching for classic old DVDs, man. They got them. Barnes & Noble. Shout out. Barnes & Noble. You guys are big pimping, doing things real cool. I like your style, cuz. Anyways, okay. Yeah, and the actor, Steve McQueen, he said Quentin Tarantino, I read a little bit of Quentin Tarantino's book, Cinema Speculation. Another shout out, if you like reading and movies, those two go hand in hand. Cinema Speculation, a book by the famous director Quentin Tarantino. What he said about Steve McQueen and Bullitt was that he was the epitome of cool. And he didn't mean cool as in He-Man, drinking, fighting, motorcycle riding, cool. He meant cool as a reptile. Calm, cool, collected, never loses his cool once. The coolest character ever, maybe, in a movie, was Bullitt. I mean, this guy was a police murder detective, a homicide detective, dealing with murderers, dead bodies, people trying to kill him, the whole film. And he's just calm as can be, Never raises his voice, doesn't say hardly anything, doesn't say much at all. It's powerful, man. Because to be one of those police detectives, your heart rate has to be flat. I mean, you gotta be calm, cool, and collected. And Steve McQueen does it better than anybody. He really does. He is the coolest cat around back in the 60s. I mean, there's a scene that Quentin Tarantino talks about where he got in a car chase and the cops are grilling him. You're gonna cost us money, there's dead bodies, we want your badge. He doesn't even get pissed off, he just doesn't engage at all. He just walks off after they're done yelling at him. He's that cool, he doesn't even get frustrated in the movie. Which I agree with Quentin Tarantino. He is the epitome of cool. I definitely agree with Quentin Tarantino on that front. I wish there was more one-liners in this movie. That would have been a little bit better. But there is a scene that I really like. A scene that's really gripping and really pulls you in to the heart of this film. It's a scene where his girlfriend follows him to a crime scene where he's looking at a dead body, talking to cops. And she sees him there, and she freaks out, crying, runs out. And Steve McQueen calmly walks out after her to see if she's okay. And she pretty much says, I don't know how you do it. You're around this sick cesspool every day. I don't know how you stand it. And he says, you can't run away from it. It's all around us. You can't run from it. It's like he'll stand in the pit of fire for justice and good. You have to stand against the evil, is what he's saying, I think. It's just pretty powerful powerful stuff, emotionally challenging. And there is a famous car chase scene in this movie that's really long and cool. Probably the best car chase ever in any movie. He's driving an old Ford GT Mustang, chasing after these bad guys, and the way the camera angle goes around and follows him while he's following the bad guys. It's incredible. It's like you're in the car with him, And the cameras are on Steve McQueen's eyes and his face. So you're with Steve McQueen in this car chase. Very powerful. It's a badass movie. Very cool. And there's not much dialogue, I found. Not much dialogue at all. One of the most non-dialogue movies, almost no talking at all in this movie, Steve McQueen doesn't say hardly anything. But still, you're enamored with him. Just the camera's fixed on him. And he's that cool where he doesn't need to say anything. And he can make a movie. My two favorite movies with Steve McQueen, I think. Not the biggest Steve McQueen fan, but The Great Escape. The Great Escape and Bullitt are probably my two favorite Steve McQueen movies. Those are very badass. Those are what made his career, I think. Put him big time. Movie star mode. Not as big as Paul Newman. I don't think he was a big presence or star as Paul Newman. I think Paul Newman up-notched him a little bit in that category. That's where I kind of disagree with Quentin Tarantino a little bit on that in his book. He says Steve McQueen was probably above the Warren Beatty and Paul Newman, but I think Paul Newman was at the top of those guys. But all three of them were stars. No question about it. They were amazing. Camera, loved those guys. I've been watching a bunch of classics. The Hustler with Paul Newman, Bullitt, Steve McQueen, The Great Escape. I watched that a lot last week. 2 or 3 times. Never gets old. Never gets old. And, what's the Sting, Paul Newman, Robert Redford. That's another classic. So many 70s movies that were amazing to watch. That's what I read. Quentin Tarantino's Cinema Speculation, and all he talks about is 70s movies he grew up watching. So I was like, all right, I don't think I'm going to go dig into those 70s movies, find out how cool they were. Man, awesome. And, oh yeah, there's, in the camera, the way it shoots this movie, Bullitt, it's a lot like Quentin Tarantino's Death Proof. The same type of 70s style camera cinematography is used in this as it is in Death Proof. I think there's similarities. I think Tarantino thought of the movie Bullitt when he made Death Proof. And it worked out because I thought it was pretty special. Anyways, I'm Jonathan Ranciere. I love movies. I don't talk bad about a lot of movies. I actually love a lot of movies. It's hard for me to find a movie I don't like. I mean, I'm a huge, I love like every movie almost. If it's got good actors, good story, good camera angles, I like it. I love movies. It's very rare that I talk badly about movies because I love so many of them. I mean, look, I got some posters of Gangs of New York. Saw that in theaters when I was 11. Blew me away. Leonardo DiCaprio should have won an Oscar for that movie. He was a gangster throwing knives. Totally different than the Titanic Jack Dawson. This is one of the best movies ever made. Boom. And then, what else do I got over here? Oh, yeah. Here's another classic movie. I was talking about classics. 1939. Gone with the Wind. Clark Gable. Now that's a manly man. Coolness. He-Man cool. That movie won a bunch of awards. Deserved every one of them. You know, in that Technicolor color they used back for 1939. It's marvelous. Just marvelous. Exquisite. Exquisite work. And then I got a... well, this one's not as cool, or not as good as those two, but... Friday the 13th. Very first one. 1980. I'm a big horror movie fan, so this what started off the horror genre along with Halloween. You know, this is a movie poster. It's Jason in a boat. It's a classic horror film. Started off all the horror great movies, I think. The slasher genre. And then moved to the living room where I have one of my favorite movies of all time. Jaws. Number 1 on my movie list. Greatest movies of all time that I've seen over 100 times in my lifetime. And it has one of the best movie quotes ever. You know, Chief Brody has a cigarette in his mouth. And he goes, he's backing away from the boat. He sees the shark in the water and he's like, "Oh, you're going to need a bigger boat." It's the best. It's the best. And then, I got Saturday Night Fever, John Travolta, one of my favorite actors, best singer, well, best dancers ever in that movie. Saturday Night Fever. And that's my dog, Kramer. I just like Kramer. That's why I put that up there. Anyways, I think I'm going to sign off and let all that sink in. And, you know, check out some of these films. Maybe you might like them, maybe you won't. It's up to you. It's just me just telling you a little bit about movies and reviews and the ones that I like. Hopefully you like them too. Adios, amigo. Hasta la vista.